All right, shalom, shalom. First and foremost, we want to give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahweh Shai, Bahashem Rakakwadash. Giving double honors to the apostles and elders of great millstone. Shalom to the hopefully elect. Shalom to all the brothers out here laboring in this truth with sincerity. Shalom to the few sisters that watch. It's coming back with another lesson because, we're coming into some dire times. You got a pestilence, that's being brought forth, or being, in the forefront of the news right now by way of the hantavirus. And you also have, the ceasefire with Iran and the United States, falling by the wayside, which is going to cause, gas prices to rise again even more. We see them trickling down right now. But, how low would it get? So we're just going to start out in the book of Ecclesiastes, chapter 12, and start at the top. It says, "Remember now the Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not." And we're right here, man. You still have somewhat of a short time right now to repent. The evil days, we're in the evil days, but they hadn't, just exploded like it will. It's more to come, so to speak. You still have the MOTB has to be implemented, which is gonna, further Jacob's trouble. Which is gonna come upon the whole world, man. So, matter of fact, let's grab that. We'll go to the book of Jeremiah, chapter 30, and verse 7. It says, "Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it. It is even the time of Jacob's trouble, but he shall be saved out of it." The key point is that it says, "Alas, for that day is great, so that none is like it." Let's see. In the NLT, it says, "In all history, there has never been such a time of terror. It will be a time of trouble for my people Israel. Yet in the end, they will be saved." It's definitely going to be a time of trouble for the Israelites. But this is going to come upon the whole world, but we know Jacob is going to catch it a lot harder than others, man, especially, in the time, especially elect, first and foremost. Because the elect is not going to take the chip, therefore the suffering, is probably going to be a little bit worse than the people of the world that do take it, But the thing about it, you got to have faith in Yahweh Hashem Yahushua to make it out of this time. So I just want to grab a couple articles, going into, the ceasefire. This is brought out today. Trump says ceasefire is on life support. So, eventually this is going to explode into World War III, we know. But it says President Trump said Monday that the ceasefire with Iran is on life support after Iran's response in the latest U.S. peace proposal. He has rejected Iran's reply as totally unacceptable, and on Monday called it a piece of garbage. It says the Iranian government insists it demanded only the country's legitimate rights and no concessions in its response, which that's reasonable, But the thing about it is that this man wants total control, even above Trump, the wicked elites. So, if you're not going along with the program, you got to be eliminated, man. So it says Mr. Trump is expected to encourage China to pressure Iran into making a deal to end the costly war during his visit to Beijing later this week, when he will meet with President I should know this man's name by now, Xi Jinping. If that's right, I should know his name by now. But this thing is not getting any closer to ending. This is just going to be another tool of the wicked elites to wreak havoc upon the earth. And then on the other side, you have this new pestilence being brought forth. It says 2 more passengers evacuated from cruise ship test positive for hantavirus. And, if I'm not mistaken, a couple of them are here in Atlanta, man. Or in Georgia. I think they in Atlanta, though. So, like it says, passengers from a cruise ship hit by a deadly hantavirus outbreak were being flown home Monday to more than 20 countries in quarantine, including a French woman and an American who tested positive. So, we don't know how far this is gonna go. We know, the C-19 started out mild, and then all of a sudden it exploded. So we don't know how far this is gonna go. We don't know how far these people are gonna take this. Lord willing, they take it to the extreme. So we can see this place further collapse, man. That's what we're hoping for. That's what we're praying for. And hey, we putting up curses on this place, man, and it's taking effect. So Lord willing, they'll push it and take it to the extreme. Bring forth more suffering for Babylon the Great and his wicked citizens, man. It's a whole lot of vile things going on in front of the camera, and behind the scenes, man. So, Lord willing, these things will be brought to the light. The rest of the world looking upon Babylon the Great as being just as low as they are. Their concept of third world country is out of the window now, man. America, Babylon the Great is a third world country. They just cover it up. You had Trump saying that, he's redoing the Washington Monument and all of these things to be able to spruce up the place. But you can't, what they call it, putting lipstick on a pig or something like that. You can't cover it up, man. You nice and beautiful on the outside, but on the inside, you're rotten and defiled. That's America, man. It looks good from the outside, but once you get in and get here, you see that it's all an illusion. But that illusion is failing, man. Maybe, in the height of it, like in the 80s, America was this place to be glorified. Oh, this is the place to go, the land of milk and honey. But now, hey, man, people are fleeing this place, Even his own citizens are fleeing, trying to find a better life for themselves, because it's pretty much hell here, man. You just swamped with bills, swamped with work, the bill, the money you make don't add up to the hours you work, because of inflation, gas prices going up, everything is going up. So you get paid. By the time you pay all your bills, your money is gone, man. This is hell. But these are the things that we're going to have to endure. And it's 144. Call log how about Shimmy Shai, man. So it's only gonna get harder, man. It's only gonna get harder. We just gotta continue to pray to Yahweh Shimmy Shai. Continue to pray to Yahweh Shimmy Shai. Let's see. We can get this book of Matthew, chapter 24. And I'm not mistaken. Let's see. Salakia. Where is it? 16, is it? 17. Salakia. Where is it? 17. And man, I know Salakia. Got to be. I thought it was 24 and 41. Salakia. 26 and 41. Man, Salakia. All right. This is the book of Matthew, chapter 26 and verse 41. It says, watch and pray that ye enter not into temptation. The spirit is indeed willing, but the flesh is weak. You know, in these times, we're going to have to be spiritual. You know, me and the brother of war was going into this the other day, you know, because we're definitely going to be faced with temptations. And let's go into this word, temptation. Temptation goes into a trial, you know, being tried, temptation, trial of man's fidelity, integrity, virtue, constancy, you know, an enticement to sin, temptation, you know, so it's definitely a trial, an experiment, attempt, trial, providing, Salaki, proving, trial, proving, a trial made of you by my bodily condition, since condition served to test the love, it says Galatians toward Paul, but, you know, ultimately it's going into a trial. We're going to be tried, you know, we're going to be tempted, and we're going to see if we can pass this trial that's going to be brought forth, man, because we're definitely going to be tempted in the days to come. So let's go. Let's see. Let's go to the book of Second Ezra, because this is what the Lord is bringing, man. You know, the people of the world, you know, continuing in their sin, continue to disregard Yahweh Shem Yahushai. But eventually, you know, these things are gonna come to a point where, you know, you're gonna have to rely on something to be able to survive. And if it's not Yahweh Shem Yahushai, you're not gonna make it. So this is the book of 2nd Ezra, chapter 15. We go to verse 14. It says, woe to the world and them that dwell therein. It says, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh. We just read, you know, back in Ecclesiastes chapter 12 and 1. Let's go. Because it's about to get ugly out here, man. It says, remember now the Creator in the days of thy youth, while the evil days come not, nor the years draw nigh, when thou shalt say, I have no pleasure in them. You know, the evil days are coming, you know. So you have a little bit of time to do what you got to do right now before the Lord bring these evil days upon us. It says, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, you know. And it just goes into it, man. You know, the Lord is going to bring pestilence, all types of things to Babylon the Great. So it's time to get right, man. Repent and be converted, you know. So let's go to the book of Salakia, back to the book of Matthew, verse 24. Salakia, chapter 24. And let's see. We'll go to verse 3. It says, and as he sat upon the Mount of Olives, the disciples came unto him privately, saying, tell us, when shall these things be? And what shall be the sign of thy coming and the end of the world? So, you know, they're speaking to the Lord, asking him, you know, when is the world going to come to the end? And ultimately, when is the kingdom going to be set up, man? So verse 4 says, and Yahushua answered and said unto them, take heed that no man deceive you, for many shall come in my name, saying, I am a Mashiach, and shall deceive many. Verse 6, and ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. We see that. You know, we just went over the United States-Iran conflict that's going on right now. You know, that Trump is trying to involve China in right now. So it says, ye shall hear of wars and rumors of wars. See that ye be not troubled, for all these things must come to pass, but the end is not yet. You know, the end is not quite yet, because you're going to have to suffer, man. You're gonna be tried, you know, especially with that hour of temptation, the book of Revelation, chapter 3, verse 10, you know, when that MOTB is going to be implemented. Let's see, book of Revelation, chapter 3, in verse 10. Says, because thou hast kept the word of my patience, I will also keep thee from the hour of temptation, which shall come upon all the world, to try them that dwell upon the earth. So that's what's coming, man. You know, we was just speaking of the temptation to come, the pestilence, the war, the things to come. You know, we haven't fully entered into those evil days right now, but they're coming. You know, we right here at the door. So where did we stop? Started back in verse 7. It says, for nation shall rise against nation, and kingdom against kingdom. And this has been same thing being spoke of in the book of 2nd Ezra. You know, you see it. It says, for the sword and their destruction draweth nigh, and one people shall stand up and fight against another, and swords in their hands. So, you know, it says, and there shall be famines and pestilences and earthquakes in diverse places. All these are the beginning of sorrows. So, you know, it's going to get a whole lot worse, man. If that's the beginning, famine, pestilence, and earthquakes, you know, and war, if that's the beginning of sorrows, hey, man, what the middle of the sorrow is going to look like, what the end of the sorrow is going to look like. So, you know, we here, man. We're in the beginning. You know, we see the wars, rumors of wars, and the pestilence. You know, we almost hit the famine. You know, we right here, man. So, you know, it's time to get right. You know, if you out here window shopping, you better stick with GMS and brothers with the likewise doctrine. You know, and hey, it's time to buckle down, man, because it's about to get real serious out here. So, you know, with that being said, we want to constantly give all praises, honor, and glory to Yahweh, Bahashem, Yahushai, Bahashem Rekakwadash. Shalom.